Chapter 16, Dream of the Red Chamber 15, End. After continuously asking to resign many times, 3 months later, the emperor finally agreed. How could the emperor not have imagined this? It was just that the more sober Lin Ruhai was, the more reluctant the emperor was to let him go. After all, when reaching the pinnacle of power, how many people could still maintain a clear mind? Lin Ruhai resigned from office, immediately having a lot of time to spend with Nan Hoa. The two of them prepared to collect and tidy up some of the capital's affairs, visit some friends in the capital, then travel north and south, and finally return to Gusu to retire. Nan Hoa repaired the property and gave it to her daughter-in-law. Lin Ruhai went with her to visit Jia family for the last time. Although the Jia residence's affairs continued, there was no such major event as a house search. Although the old lady's health was slowly failing, she was still very clear-headed and not senile at all. Living in luxury, these past few years had not been bad. The old lady now also saw that the Jia family was in decline, the Lin family was prosperous, the two families were one sad, one happy, the two were relatively comparable, only then did she suddenly realize that she seemed to have been wrong back then. Now she had put everything down, and ignored in all matters. Looking back at the two grandchildren of the eldest house, she also felt that the Jia family had a successor. So these past few years, Nan Hoa and the old lady have not been too bad. This time she has to leave. She is afraid that when she returns, the old lady will be gone, more or less feeling a bit sorry. The eldest family is not bad now. Lucia has good eyesight, the two daughters-in-law have no conflicts. Jia, who is an official in the court, doing well in his job, now has 2 sons. Jia Lian passed the imperial examination, but did not study, only handled the family business. And increased the eldest family's assets several times, with 1 son and 1 daughter under his pillow. The 2 brothers supported each other, complemented each other, and their lives continued to develop. Living together always has friction. From the beginning Lucia handled things fairly, everything was called to the 2 sons to open up. Later on, the 2 brothers also got used to living together like this. If there was any problem they would open up early, not letting it accumulate over time and become a family mess. In secret, Lucia also told Nan Hoa that after a few years, the 2 sons' lives would become more stable, so she decided to let them separate their families, and absolutely could not let the Jia brothers matter happen again. The head of the first house is a thorough person, but the second house is a mess. Tam Chun was likely sold by Wang Shi to the son of a concubine of a 5th-rank military general. And this was all thanks to the fact that they were related by marriage to the Lin family. Jia Huan still had no engagement, and was stealing all day long. Bao Chai and Bao Yu were not on good terms. A year after the wedding, the maid in the room was found and chased away by her with an excuse. Bao Yu gradually became depressed and unhappy. Seeing her son like this, Wang Shi also had some opinions about Bao Chai. But she now doesn't care about her husband's parents, the family's money depends on her. If they are not satisfied, the whole family's food and drink will taken care of by themselves. Nan Hoa entered the second room and had nothing to say to Wang Shi. She even had to listen to her say a few words about Lin Ruhai resigning from office. After saying goodbye to Jia Xing, she left. The following year, in the spring of March, outside the capital's main courtyard, the crown prince brought Daiyu. Lin Duc brought his wife, and reluctantly parted ways with Lin Ruhai and his wife. 20-year-old Daiyu's tears flowed freely, still like a 16-year-old girl. The crown prince was on the side quietly comforting her, his eyes filled with pity. Lin Duc hugged Nan Hoa's arm and acted spoiled, not letting them go. Thursday Shi used a towel to cover her face, looking embarrassed. Nan Hoa and Lin Ruhai both smiled. The 2 children had grown up, each had their own home. It was time to let go and let them fly high, and as they gradually grew old, they should also have their own time, to enjoy the last days of their lives. From then on, more than 10 years later, Lin Ruhai took Nan Hoa and traveled the great rivers and streams, asking about and experiencing the customs of different places. Along the way, he wrote poems and painted paintings, leaving behind countless works. The couple together compiled a travelogue, which meticulously recorded the terrain, mountains, rivers, customs, and traditions of different places. leaving behind precious treasures for future generations and the imperial court. After Daiyu married the crown prince, her overall life was very happy. Although the royal family was complicated, the crown prince was truly excellently educated by the emperor. Many things that happened before were kept outside by him and borne by him alone. The two got married and gave birth to their first son 2 years later. After that, it was as if the car couldn't stop. Every 2 years they would get pregnant and give birth, so like that, the second and third children were born one after another. Luckily, the royal family had a nanny, otherwise Daiyu would have become an old aunt in less than 5 years. Later, it seemed that the entire court was used to it. After 2 years, they thought, should the crown princess be pregnant? Giving birth to 3 sons in a row, Daiyu finally gave birth to a daughter at the age of 30. The emperor, empress, and crown prince were so happy that they could not find a way out of the north. The little girl became the jewel in the entire palace's hand. Daiyu squeezed the crown prince's waist, not giving birth again. Even mother pigs are not like that. The crown prince held a hand at his waist and respectfully replied, okay, no birth, too many stinking brats, enough is enough. When the crown prince was 35 years old, the emperor passed away. The crown prince became the new emperor, and Daiyu became the empress. After nearly 20 years of marriage, the crown prince had never taken a second wife, and all kinds of officials were used to it. As for Daiyu, she also truly followed her own ideas. Except for educating children, she devoted herself wholeheartedly to the people's livelihood. The various achievements of the crown prince's palace, and even the new emperor, no one knew how many of them came from Daiyu's hands. When the crown prince was in his teens, he was convinced by Daiyu's talent. He deeply remembered how shocked he was when he first saw the draft of the letter written by Daiyu in Lin Duke's hands. But Daiyu's ambition, he not only did not feel any disgust, but on the contrary, he was very supportive. From the crown prince to the emperor, he was very happy that he had tolerated Daiyu, allowing Daiyu to give him such a great return. The emperor had a day of sighing. Daiyu was like the 4th minister of the cabinet, helping him a lot. With such a wife, what kind of husband do you ask for? Daiyu heard, and scolded him, you old bones, saying such disgusting things, aren't you ashamed? The middle-aged Daiyu still brought the cunning young girl. The words she said made people both love and hate her, especially the always dignified and steady crown prince. He liked her this way the most. At the moment when Nan Hoa was dying, Lin Duke was already a high-ranking official, had sons and daughters. Daiyu became the empress. Following her ideals, she did many things for the people. The Lin family was not prosperous, the family was strictly governed, there was no threat to the royal family, everything was peaceful and stable. Lin Ruhai held her hand tightly, tears stuck to her wet hands. Nan Hoa wanted to laugh, but her consciousness gradually drifted away. Once again returning to the familiar darkness, Nan Hoa discovered that the white light surrounding her body was actually golden, but regardless of all these thoughts, her soul involuntarily moved forward, and the memories of Jia Min's life were slowly being stripped away in her mind. The joys, anger, sorrows, and joys of each year seemed to be drained layer by layer, and in the end, only the feeling of a film being projected remained. Back to the place where she first left, a familiar face greeted her. It was Jia Min. She was smiling and crying. It took her a long time to say something. So it was all my fault? Nan Hoa didn't know how to advise, afraid that if she said something, Jia Min's obsession would only deepen. After a long while, Jia Min regained her emotions and calmed down. These past few hundred years, I have resented fate day by day. Why did it give me daughters, and yet want to take them back? Only today, I finally realized, fate is determined, and human strength can still be used. For 10 years without a child, I took bitter medicine, tried to push away my husband, but my efforts were in vain, and instead ruined myself and harmed my children. You are indifferent and natural, determined not to let your husband take a concubine, but instead protected the child. Both children and husband and wife are in love. Nan Hoa felt that no matter what fate, people can strive for the best outcome in this situation for themselves. It depends on how you choose. I also feel that you are too stubborn. Lin Ruhai is actually not that stubborn towards children, but you care more than him.